Welcome to Highways Presents, where we bring expert industry knowledge from the road sector to the world. My name's Dominic Browne, I'm the editor of Highways magazine. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that's important to everyone, no matter what line of work you're in. How can we get one more job done every day without working longer hours? Predictable spoiler alert, yes, this is about working smarter, it's about digitalization, and it's about preparing yourself and your company for the future. COVID-19 has put all of these issues firmly on the agenda, so we're going to take up the debate. There's an old adage in business: if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. But let's be clear, this is not just about beating the competition, this is about beating your personal best. So here to talk us through how we can work smarter, more efficiently, and close the UK productivity gap is James Atkinson. He's the Sales Director for Infrastructure Solutions at Causeway, which is a leading supplier of digital solutions to the infrastructure sector. But James, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you first off just tell us a bit more about Causeway and the service you provide to UK infrastructure?
Yes, of course. So Causeway are a technology business that is passionate about the digitalisation of the construction sector. My role within that is to focus on infrastructure. So infrastructure definitely being highways, whether that be the construction of highways or the maintenance of the existing network. So we spend our entire working life working with organisations in those sectors to look at how we can deliver benefits through the adoption of technology.
So James, you've got some slides to help illustrate the importance of productivity and how business critical digitalisation is at the moment.
So just to provide some context to the challenge that's ahead of us, the Construction Index did some analysis between 2018 and 2019 across the top 20 road contractors in the UK. And what that saw was turnover increased by 3.5%, 90 million across those organisations. But across that same time period and across those same organisations, whilst turnover was up, pre-tax profit dropped by 8.2%. So what that provides is a scenario where the work is coming through, positively impacting turnover, but our ability to deliver that work is decreasing. Against that backdrop, Highways England, probably the single largest client in the highway sector, has within their RIS2 strategy targeted £2.3 billion worth of efficiency savings. They are looking to achieve £400 billion worth of productivity improvements by 2040 through the adoption of digital technology. Those targets are not going to be met by working the way we are today, just a little bit better. It requires a step change, it requires a rethink, it requires us to work differently to the way that we're working today. And digital technology is absolutely at the heart of that. Taking that a little bit further, the Transport Infrastructure Efficiency Strategy, commonly known as TIES, which is an amalgamation of the organisations you can see on the left-hand side there, has observed that infrastructure investment is trebling to a historic high. However, the efficient delivery of that investment is critical for us to drive growth and productivity across the sector. And they've highlighted three key factors to delivering that. Number one, exploiting digital technology. Number two, improving our understanding of cost and performance. And number three, enabling delivery. Again, the adoption of digital technology is absolutely the foundation of being able to achieve those objectives.
To give a bit of context to this discussion, Causeway did a survey recently with the Chartered Institution of Highways and Transportation, and it found that there were 500 respondents from CIHT's membership. Only around a third feel that the sector is kind of digital ready. Could you give us a bit of a flavour of the insights you've got from this survey and kind of outline some of the areas of concern and some of the areas of optimism, if possible?
We're starting with reasons to be optimistic, I think. So that survey was done in partnership with the CIHT and went out to their entire membership, which is circa 1,500 members. 500 members contributed. So it's often when you're doing surveys and research pieces of this nature, it's difficult to obtain a good level of engagement and get some meaningful analysis from that. The level of interest and the level of engagement demonstrates that digitalisation is a priority topic for the industry. more reasons to be optimistic is 80% of the organisations said that they will be taking steps to improve their businesses digitally over the next 12 months. So by far the majority not only are engaged and interested, but they actually have plans to start adopting digitalisation within their organisation. That said, maybe to add a touch of realism, only 55% classified themselves as having some digital capabilities in their business already, and 20% also classifying themselves as digital beginners. So there's some work to do, I think, in respect of rolling out and obtaining the benefits of digitalisation. So whilst it's widely acknowledged it's a valuable strategy to embrace, we've still got some way to go.
And how would you say roads and infrastructure compare to other industries?
Yes, I think it's widely acknowledged actually that other sectors such as retail and manufacturing have been adopting innovation, digitalisation in their businesses for a very long time. So their business processes are fully automated. Their supply chains are integrated. That said, maybe manufacturing and retail is a more predictive environment by which to digitalise processes. If you're repeating the manufacturer of uniform goods, it's perhaps easier to understand what the components are, to rationalise your supply chain and automate processes. I think the nature of our sector in terms of the contracts that organisations undertake and the projects that are being delivered is they're not uniform. They're inherently different and unique. And so that brings with it some complexity. That said, we are starting to see some benefits, and we're starting to see organisations look to how they can normalise processes across these projects, and that in turn will start to deliver the benefits that other sectors are already achieving.
I don't think it's a surprise that the survey also discovered 80% of senior highways construction professionals believe the digital agenda is set to become dominant in the market. Now, of course, we all use the basics these days, but can you give us a technical analysis of what steps we should have taken yesterday and what steps we will need to take tomorrow?
Yes, of course. Well, I think the first point that I would personally make is that digitalisation in isolation is not the answer, right? So it's not a magic bullet that brings instant benefits. Moreover, I think it is the application of innovation and technology to improve, or maybe more importantly, rethink how we currently operate. So to be able to achieve that, we've got to understand how we currently work, right? So that's the foundation. That may seem basic, but how many of us really truly understand how we operate, or indeed cost of how we're operating today? And at Causeway, we've actually coined a phrase for this: the cost of doing nothing. It's a hidden overhead in every organisation that is overlooked as a necessity of the way we need to operate. So we need to quantify the processes that we undertake and the inefficiencies, or call those inefficiencies opportunities if you like, that are available with change. So once we've got that background, it's then that we can overlay the technology, and the outcome of which should be a clear pathway for value-based change, of which there could be many. So there could be efficiencies, we could do things in a more timely manner, greater opportunities for collaboration, cost savings, improved outcome, better decision making, so on and so forth. But it's important, I think, to understand where we are today and then overlay a strategy against that to adopt digitalisation and, importantly, deliver the benefits it can bring.
So when we talk about digitalisation, just to be clear, what do we mean? Is it a case of digitally recording basically everything we do? Every step of the process is recorded and then analysed?
Essentially, yes. I mean, the definition of digitalisation can be many things to many people. I think it's the automation of processes. I think it's optimising the tasks that we currently undertake. I think it's pulling together disparate data sources and using those data sources to obtain knowledge and work more efficiently. So I think it can be many things to many people, but adopting innovation ultimately for betterment and change.
The key issue of the day, I promise the viewers, how can we find a way to do one more job every day in the same amount of time and hopefully kind of solve that UK productivity gap? Any suggestions, James?
Of course. Now, I think it's good here to look at a real life example. One of our customers who has undertaken a bit of a study of a before and after. So they've gone through the adoption of digitalisation in their business. They're an organisation that undertake highways maintenance services in local authority contracts. Amongst other benefits that they've realised, a standout statistic was they're able to schedule and complete work 30% more efficiently than they were previously. So
after digitalisation.
After digitalisation. So that's huge. But how have they done that? Firstly, providing their schedulers with multiple data sources in one single map-based view. So enabling them to visualize the work, compare data, analyze data to make better decisions. Also, to be able to embrace and understand change and make better decisions. They've removed manual paper processes between the offices and the mobile workforce. So they've embraced mobile technology out there in the field. And by doing so, they've automated the processes that were once paper-driven and manual. Well, they've also been able to reduce abortive jobs, going to the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people or the wrong equipment. So effectively, that's improved decision-making. So as a result of that, they've been able to optimize the workforce, all of which has delivered a 30% improvement.
So one thing I know Causeway are working on is helping your clients move to a more predictive model for workflows, maintenance programs, asset management. This would be pretty close to the Holy Grail, I imagine. How can we work in that modeling on the back of digitalization to make sure that we're one step ahead of the problems?
Yes, and this is an area that we've been working with a number of our customers for some time. It's to try and understand the data that has been gathered over many years of undertaking tasks, and then use that data and the surrounding circumstances to predict what is likely to happen. And the opportunity then to provide predictive preventative maintenance will dramatically reduce costs and improve the services that we're able to deliver to our clients. So whether that's leveraging weather conditions to understand likely failure in road surfaces, or flooding in certain areas. So the opportunity to leverage the data and bring that data together to ensure that we understand what is likely to happen is a very interesting outcome.
Yeah, it's interesting. And putting all this together, I get the impression one of the key things for digitalization is you're taking the variety of UK infrastructure and the complexity, and you're trying to provide more uniformity, trying to provide a sense of this is the most efficient way of doing things, and then on the back of that to become more predictive so that you're actually shaping the industry itself rather than just reacting to problems.
Absolutely. So trying to take the reaction out of things and, as you say, work towards a predictive environment. So currently people are working manually, people work in disparate systems, and even within a single organization might be working in a multitude of different ways. So I think digitalization brings the opportunity to standardize processes, and through doing things in a consistent and standard way, leverage those outcomes and the data that it presents to do things in a more cost-effective manner.
Brilliant. So behind all of this is the issue of skills, of course. It's all very well having the technology and the digital apps, but we need to know how to use them. What advice do you give to companies who may have a few technophobes in their organization, but also need to train up that next generation?
I think technology is half the equation, people is the other half. But that said, I think now we're exposed to digitalization in our everyday lives, in our normal lives outside of work all of the time. We interact with digital assets, we engage with automated services, we live in an app-based world. I believe that that's changing the perception of many people to start adopting these opportunities in the working environment. And I think indeed the younger generation, as they come through, expect this. So digitalization in effect is an opportunity to attract and retain the best talent into your business. Young, bright people want to be working with the best tools, and this is an opportunity to give it to them. And it's interesting that the construction industry and its related sectors have long had a skills gap issue. And to put that in context, YouGov have done a construction skills survey showing that only 3% of 18 to 24-year-olds have researched a career in construction or its related sectors. Instead, they're favouring retail, travel, hospitality, leisure, all of which we referred to earlier, perhaps being further ahead in their adoption curve of digitalisation. So is it a coincidence that the young people are choosing those environments, and that to them is an exciting place to be? I don't think it is. I think their adoption of technology makes that attractive to young people. So if we as an industry are able to start adopting technology and leveraging technology in our working environment, I think with that will come the people.
Well, James, thank you so much for joining us today. That gave us some real food for thought, loads of potential to close that productivity gap and increase the efficiency of the way we all work every day. Digitalisation is coming, everyone, so we better be ready. And if you want to speak to Causeway about any of the issues we discussed today and find out more about how you can prepare for the future, their details will be at the end of this video. I just want to say to any young people watching, I hope you do consider a career in highways, transport and engineering. It's one of the most exciting and friendliest industries going, and we are at the very forefront of it in this country. And it's companies like Causeway that are helping keep us there. So thank you very much for watching. Think engineering, think career, and think digitalisation. Goodbye.